everybody, Sandra Radav here. I've got incredible guests with me today. I'm so excited, you have no idea. I've got Allan Kleynhans today. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly.
Perfect.
So let me tell a little bit about Allan, and of course I will allow you to do it as well. Fill in the gaps. So Allan studied psychology, philosophy, the behavioral science, and consciousness for 32 years. He has worked with large, medium, small organizations, individual work as well. He's a powerful speaker, very, very clear, like very passionate person. I worked with Allan, well, actually I started working with Allan recently. And also, I know you're very inspired by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, the classic work. And you're also a founder of Awaken. So I have so many questions for you, and I'm very, very excited to introduce you to my podcast. Please tell your story, and we'll go from there. And then I'll definitely ask about the Awaken, because it's a beautiful group. And yes, so
Cool. Well, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. Thanks for that introduction. It's lovely to be here. So you say, tell me my story. So I'm going to keep it short. Let's keep putting it in a nutshell. I was a kid that had a really, really tough upbringing in one of the toughest parts or the toughest neighborhoods in South Africa. I was born in '66, and I saw some things that no young boy of 3-4 years of age should ever have to see or experience. And then my entire youth, it was extremely challenging youth I had. I was a kid that grew up with very low self-esteem, a very destructive belief system. My psychology had been impacted by the experiences that I was having as a young boy. They molded who I became. And as a result of that, then actually maturing into my teens and into adolescence, I was somebody who just really kind of was withdrawn all the time, didn't have a voice, didn't speak. I was always worried about what other people thought about me. I was bullied severely, teased. I was always this tiny little kid too. So I kind of stood in the background, and I didn't really, I never really expressed myself. And I was one of those kids who just did not enjoy his youth. There's a lot of moments that I can't remember. There's lots of stuff I can't remember. I can remember some good things, but not really a lot of those as a young boy. And that was further exacerbated by the fact that then I went to the military. In South Africa, the military was compulsory. It was 2 years in 1986 and 87. You had to go. My uncle went, my dad, my uncles, my cousins, my grandfathers, all the men in my family had been military. At times I did consider, declaring being a pacifist and say I'm not into it. But really, I would have been locked up for that same period of time. So I thought, well, rather than sit in jail for 2 years, I might as well go to the military and just embrace it, And my dad said the same thing. He said, listen, embrace it. It's going to be great lessons for you. You're going to grow as a man. You're going to learn some great stuff. And he said, it's going to be tough, but just welcome it, embrace it, and do your best. Be careful. The last thing he said to me when he put me on the train, he said, keep your head down, come back alive. And I said, Dad, wow, a bit traumatic, Dad. So he said, just, embrace it, keep your head down, do what you're told, and be your best. But make sure you come home alive. And so it made me think a lot, And then on the way up there, on this train for 18 hours, and we got to this place in the Northern Cape, extremely hot, and the basic training started. And the training was intense. It was 9 months long. It was rewarding in a lot of ways because I got really fit. I developed a real discipline. We were running every single day. We were waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Often we weren't sleeping. I was sleeping underneath my bed because we made our beds. We used to have to make our bed like a box. The corner had to be like a table. We'd have to iron our beds. Once you make your bed like that, you don't want to sleep on it. And if you don't make your bed like that, if you sleep on your bed, it takes you hours to make it. So you'd be up all night for inspection at 5 o'clock. So it was a lot of that, but it was, looking back at some of those things, I can appreciate the discipline of that because I'd been to boarding school. My father was very strict already. He was a disciplinarian. I was an only child. My parents were much older than me. My parents, they were first married before, then got divorced, got married again, had me. So my mother had me at 41 years of age. My father was already 43. So they were older, and there was always that age gap. And they were, pretty old fashioned. South Africa was very conservative. And so when I was in the military, that little boy that went into the military, wounded, low self-esteem, lack of, very self-conscious, lack of confidence. And then in the military, I had this training. And then in 1987, And I was trained during the first year, I was trained to use 2 weapons, because when you enter the military, you choose your corps, right? And you say, I want to go there, I want to go there. And at first, I wanted to be a paratrooper. I wanted to jump out of planes, but I never got that chance, because during the initial, you know, what's the word? The initial qualification of becoming someone who jumps out of the plane, it was called parabats. They were called parabats, right? The paratroopers, and their uniform was amazing. Their berets, and they had this air about them, and everyone looked up to them. They were specials, parabats. These are the guys who get dropped behind enemy lines from the planes, right? And we wanted, and myself and 3-4 other friends, we all identified we wanted to do that. So we all went for the qualification. And although we all did very well, and in fact, when we had to do the qualification, I ran 2.4 kilometers with 25 kilograms of webbing, and I ran it in 7:49. Not 25 kgs, 12 kgs of webbing, rifle, magazines, helmet, you know, boots, with your rifle like this, running like this.
In the heat as well.
Oh, in the heat, boiling hot, like 40 degrees and 100% humidity. And I ran 2.4 kilometers in 7 minutes, 49 seconds. I beat the South African marathon champion who came in second behind me. But in spite of that fact, you know, being able to do 100 press-ups in that certain time, sit-ups, you know, that I failed the psychology exam, because I didn't have that, you know, that instinct. I was wounded as a boy, and I went in with low self-confidence, and that was obvious. So they split us up. The 4 of us who went together to parabats, 2 of them made it, 2 of us didn't make it. So the other 2 of us went a different way. And my friend, he became a driver of a 6-wheel vehicle, a 20mm cannon on top. I became a patrol mortarist and an RPG-7 rocket launcher. Now, what that is a 60mm mortar. Patrol mortar pipe is probably about, you know, 8 feet long. You drop mortars, you know, it's close combat, 60mm mortars, not 110, not 80. But then also an RPG-7 is a rocket-propelled grenade launcher. It's a tube on your shoulder. You see them in military movies. They're very popular. Rocky likes to use them. Not Rocky, sorry, Rambo. Rocky's a boxer. Yes. Rambo's the veteran. They're very popular. And that was my weapon. And now I enjoyed using it. It was awesome. I enjoyed having fun with it on the mock operations, you know, dropping mortars in tanks, you know, and mock operations, rocket-propelled grenades, you know, it was amazing. I never thought I'd have to ever use them in real time against people.
And this is just to clarify.
But that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. It was in 1987. This is when my life took a significant turn. In 1987, we were sent to Angola in June. It was the end of May, actually. We were sent up to Angola. Now, South Africa wasn't allowed to be in Angola at that time. The Geneva Convention, the laws of the Geneva Convention stated that South Africa was not allowed to be in Angola. But Angola, there was a civil war raging in Angola for 25 years. Who knows how many people lost their lives? Some people say millions. It was very brutal. It was known as the bloodiest war in Africa. And because it had been going so long, and so many people had lost their lives.
How long has it been going for? This was
about 25 years.
25
and
years.
So what happened was South Africa had been in Angola for a long time. No one knew. And we were sworn to secrecy. And when we left South Africa to go to Angola, I had to sign a document before I left saying we won't talk about it. And 3 years later, in 1991, it splashed out all over the international news. South Africa's in Angola. But in 87, I was there for 7 months. And when we went into our first combat, which is about 2 weeks after we arrived, that was the first of many combats. And we had combat just about every other day. And when we rolled into 4 Russian tanks, and we were outgunned with 20mm cannons, and we rolled into these 4 Russian T-55 tanks buried in the ground, olive green. You can't see them until you're on top of them. And they just took us out. And I lost a lot of friends in that first skirmish, that first combat. I ended up giving my blood to another guy directly after that first combat. We retreated because we were outgunned. We were getting bombed by MiG-27 fighter jets. There were people in foxholes. There were guys in trees. It was just insane. And
sounds like a movie, but that was all real. This is the crazy things, right? So,
no movie they make can come close to what the real thing is. They come close with the movie, but it's not. The real thing is completely different. And so we pulled back, and then that's when I was asked by a medic if I had O positive blood, and I said, yeah. He took me down to these wounded soldiers, and I gave my blood to one of the guys on the floor, and I actually looked and I recognized him. He was a friend of mine. And unfortunately, even though I gave him my blood, he passed away 3 hours later. He bled out. He couldn't make it. That was my very first combat. And then every other day for 7 months. And then when I came home 7 months later, having used my mortars, dropped mortars on enemy, RPG-7 rockets into enemy vehicles, watching those vehicles explode, full of troops, full of enemy soldiers. It was intense, as you can imagine. And And I came home, and after all that noise in the bush, just noise all the time, and then noise in my head. And then I got home and there was just noise in my head, and I just locked myself in my room, and I began to drink myself into the bottom of a bottle. Because I was having nightmares. The nightmares started. I had post-traumatic stress. I didn't realize at the time what was happening. I never really heard about post-traumatic stress. I didn't know anything about, anything about that. I was just feeling very angry, frustrated, volatile, severe mood swings, extremely depressed one minute and then extremely euphoric the next. And I was drinking. It wasn't helping. I was smoking marijuana. I was smoking cigarettes. And then I started taking LSD. And I was locked myself in my bedroom for 6 months and drank myself to sleep every day. And luckily, in July of 1988, that's when my life turned another corner. When I bumped into a good friend of mine in the street, and he invited me up to his flat. We hadn't seen each other for a long time. And it turned out that he was in the same operation as me in Angola. He was a medevac. He was flying into Angola, landing in the war zone with the choppers. They were throwing on all the wounded soldiers and taking them to the military hospitals, to get treated. And that was his job, 7 months in that operation. And he came home at the same time as me. We bumped each other in the street, realized we'd been in the same operation. And he said, come up to my place. And he educated me for about 12 hours on what I was going through. And we became, he was my friend already before we went to the army. He became my best mate. We started our first business together. But the point is, at 21 years of age, I met this other friend of mine who was 21. And he was the one who introduced me to emotional mastery, psychology, post-traumatic stress, and said, listen, you need to help yourself. No one's going to help you. You need to heal yourself. He said, it's going to be a long road. He said, but you take one day at a time. He said, this is what you're going to do. You're going to read inspirational literature, and you're going to read it as often as you can. And every time you're going down that rabbit hole, you're going to pick up your notes, and you're going to look at your notes, or you're going to pick up a book, or if you're out and about, carry the notes with you so you can pull it out. And he said, this is the first book you're going to start with. And he put a book in my hand that said, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. That was July of 1988. I was 21 years of age. And that day, when I opened that book for the first time, I became a student for the first time in my life. I went to 2 private schools, both of them Catholic, very expensive. My parents wanted me to have a good education, but both of them did not get one when they were young. My father left school at 12, so he wanted me to get educated. And in spite of the fact I went to 2 private schools, very expensive, I wasted my education because I wasn't academic and I didn't enjoy studying. I didn't enjoy school. And so when I opened that book at 21 and I started reading, I realized what my friend had given me. And I realized why he was so excited about giving me this book. And he said, this book is going to change your life. It's going to be the beginning of a new direction for you. He said, study this book, make notes. When you finish, come back and get the next one. He had all these books in his flat. And he became my library, and he became my best mate. And we just had amazing times together. And that was the beginning of my education. I read Think and Grow Rich. I read that book 3 times, cover to cover, over the next 6 weeks. And then I came back for the next one, the next one, the next one. And by the time I left South Africa, 18 months later, 17 months later, about 18 months, July to the following, to the beginning of 1990, I got on a plane, I arrived in London. And the first book I bought in London was Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins. 2 weeks after I arrived, I walked into a bookshop. I said, I need a book to read. Because now I was a reader, right? And I've been reading for 18 months. I read all the books Malcolm had. I said, I need a book. I walked into a bookshop in Victoria Station. I know exactly where it was. It was at one of those W.H. Smith.
Oh, yes. I hope they still exist.
In the station. And I walked in and I was looking around for books. And one caught my eye. I walked over and the book literally jumped into my hands. It said, read me. And on the cover, it said, Unlimited Power, Anthony Robbins. I turned the book over. I read the back flap. The first lines caught my eye. It said, Anthony Robbins, #1 peak performance coach in the world, a master of neuro-linguistic programming. And my brain said, what is that? This sounds fascinating. And so I put that book under my arm, and then I bought 2 cassette tapes the same day that were hanging on a rack, both cassettes. The cassettes, they go in a machine.
Yeah, you might have to explain this nowadays.
A cassette tape is you put it in a thing, it only plays the same thing, right? You have to rewind it, and it's got a piece of tape going around 2 little wheels. Anyway, long time ago, and in another life. And I bought these cassette tapes, and I started listening to the same guy. The book, Anthony Robbins, was the same guy on the cassette, Anthony Robbins. And I was listening to him talking about giant steps, awaken the giant within, talking about psychology, talking about performance, talking about personal power. And I just thought, this guy is so smart, and his voice just grabbed me, his energy. And you know Tony, right? He's off the scale.
Yes, he is inspiration. This is how he led me to you.
And I fell in love with Tony right there on those cassette tapes. And that book blew me away. And then I read the next book that came out, Awaken the Giant Within, several years later. And then through the 90s, I was just studying. And then I know I said it was going to be a short story, but let me wrap it up quick.
No, this is brilliant. I never heard this before. So I'm really like, it's beautiful. Please.
Thank you. So in 1999, I've been in London for 9 years. And during that time, I've been studying and going to workshops and buying books and, going to, St. James's Church in Piccadilly, free workshops. They used to have them all the time. I went to Landmark Education, Landmark Forum, Landmark Advanced course, Self-Expression and Leadership course, Communication 1 and 2, Introduction to the Forum Leaders Program. I was just absorbing information from everywhere, reading. And I got to the end of I got to the end of the 90s, 1999. It was May of 1999. I'm very good with dates. I'm very good at brilliant memory. You know yourself, right? I can recall stuff. You've heard me in talk, and I've got this amazing memory.
And I remember impact especially happened to you.
I had this May of 1999, and I was in a place in my life where I had hundreds of books inside my head, hundreds of workshops, hundreds of talks, literally for 11 years, nonstop, just studying, absorbing, because my drive to do that was something wrong with me. I'm broken. I need to fix myself. I'm broken. But after a while, I began to realize that everybody's walking around with the same bullshit in their head and everyone's broken. Mm-hmm. Now, I've changed my look now. I've changed my view now. Nobody's broken. Everybody's just got flawed software inside their hardware system. That's what I do. I help them to replace the software. So I got to 1999 and I had all this knowledge in my head, brilliant memory. But I was so unhappy, the happiest I'd been in my life up to that point. I was suicidal. I was addicted to cocaine. I was using it all day long, every day. Every single weekend, I was out Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, and all night just clubbing, just trying to forget about my problems. And on top of that, I was so frustrated because my head was full of knowledge, full of books, 11 years of knowledge in my head. And I wasn't doing anything to change my life. And I wanted to change my life. I kept talking to it myself. I just kept saying, I want to change my life. I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to be a speaker. I want to do that. And it wasn't happening. And it's because knowledge is not power. And I thought it was. And a lot of people think knowledge is power, but it's not. Knowledge is only knowledge. Now, if you happen to come across organized, specific knowledge that's been organized in a specific way, powerful knowledge, like Think and Grow Rich, unlimited power, awaken the giant within, rise to the top, see you at the top, you were born rich. And there's all these books, all these beautiful books that have been created by beautiful people. If you take a book and you read it and you say, wow, what a great book, amazing, but you don't use at least one thing from that book, then it's wasted knowledge. That's called knowledge on ice.
Yeah, without applying it will not.
Exactly. You have to apply it.
By reading.
I had 11 years of knowledge in my head. I wasn't applying it. No wonder I was so unhappy. Suicidal, addicted, frustrated, angry. Plus, I hated life. I hated anyone that came near me because I was just I had the story in my head that like everyone had something that I didn't have, so I became very arrogant, confrontational. I was afraid. I was uncertain. I was worried about my life because didn't know where I was going, and I was getting high and I was emotional. Plus I had all this post-traumatic stress that I hadn't sorted out yet. And then that's when I opened the paper one day. And I'll tell that story, right? I opened the paper one day and I saw this advert for Tony Robbins. And I said, this is a sign. Tony's come to the UK in 1993. I wasn't ready. He came in 96. I wasn't ready. Now it's 99. I'm ready. And I said, how can I get to this workshop? It's in Cardiff, Wales. If I go to Cardiff, Wales, it means I have to take 4 days off at least, maybe 1 day before, 1 day after, 6 days off, no pay. My brain started saying 6 days off, no pay. You need the money, man. You're broke. You can't go. It's too much time. And plus you got to go all the way to Cardiff. And then, where are you going to stay, right? You need a hotel. And I was broke. I didn't have the money. And I was making, this is the thing though, right?
Yes.
I was making £25 an hour for Credit Suisse Bank, and I still didn't have the money because I had such a bad habit of feeding my nose and out all night. I was in debt and I was unhappy and frustrated, suicidal, thinking of jumping under the train every day at Acton Town, lying on my friend's couch. And every time I thought about jumping on that train, I pulled that cassette tape out that I bought 9 years earlier, right? In W.A. Smith in Victoria. I put the cassette tape and I listened to Tony say, this too shall pass. And I'd rewind it and he'd say, this too shall pass. Rewind, this too shall pass. And I was saying, Tony, nothing's passing. I was hanging on with my fingernails. Nothing's happening. I'm hanging on, man. When is it going to pass? You see, Winston Churchill, he used to say, if you're going through hell, keep going. Don't stop. I had settled in hell for about 5 years at that point. I was hanging on with my fingernails, hoping things would pass. But nothing was passing because I wasn't acting on the knowledge. I was stuck. And I was upset, angry, and I was getting high just to forget about my problems. And I was in a crazy 8. And that's when I saw that advert that one morning. And then it said, Tony Robbins coming to Cardiff, Wales in July. It was May. I thought, man, that's a sign. And I found a way to get to that workshop. I arrived at that workshop, Sandra, 4 days sober. After 15 years of abuse, substance abuse, alcohol, marijuana, LSD, ecstasy, cocaine, ketamine, often all together, and, just all the time, and not sleeping. And so I arrived there 4 days sober. I was extremely tense, very tired, having withdrawals, but committed. I was committed. And I said, I'm committed. I'm here. I know this guy's going to change my life. I know this guy's the best. And this is the perfect time for me. This is the perfect storm. I've come to this point. I'm ready. I'm here to play full out. And the workshop opened. I went in. As soon as I went in on the first day, took my seat. I was just checking it all out. I was thinking, I'm in the right place now. And as Tony came out on the stage, I thought, I'm definitely in the right place. And on day three, I got the microphone. And I was talking to Tony. I couldn't believe it. And the camera was on me. He likes to film everything. The camera was on me and my face was on a big screen hanging above the people. And I looked at my picture on the screen and I thought, oh my God, I look terrible. I was crying, snot coming out my nose. I was standing right at the back where I sat the whole weekend, same place. And I was just telling Tony, it's right in the front of the stage, 1,500 people in this auditorium in Cardiff, Wales. I was saying, man, Tony, I love you so much, man. I've been listening to you for 9 years on cassette. And you've saved me so many times, man. I love you so much. This workshop has just changed my life. I said, we just came out of this exercise. I don't know what happened in that exercise, but I feel something shifted. And I love you. By the time, and I was just ranting, right? And Tony was crying by this stage, right? And then he came off the stage and he said, come here, man. I'm coming to you. And he started walking towards me like he does. And I climbed out from the chairs. I ran down the aisle towards him. And about 3 feet away from him, I took off. And I landed on him like a monkey, arms, legs, and I just wrapped around him, right? And then eventually I put my feet on the floor and he grabbed my head with his hands. And I looked up at him like this, right? And I tell you what, Sandra, I was 32 years of age.
It's my age actually now.
I was 32 years of age at that point. And nobody had ever made me feel like that man made me feel in that moment. I never felt blessed like I felt like that. I never felt unconditionally loved by my own parents. And that moment when Tony held my head and he looked into my soul, right? He was pouring love from his eyes into my soul. And he looked down at me. And he's intense, right? His big hands around my head. And he said, listen, everybody deserves a second chance, even you. And he said, let the past go. Take the lessons. Make your life magnificent. You deserve it. And he said, I'm going to turn you around now. And he said, I want you to let these people love you. And he turned me around and he made me face 1,500 people, that people on their feet. Everyone was cheering. It's the first time I got present to what was happening in the room behind me because I was just focused on him. And the love hit me like a truck and I fell against him and I dropped to my knees and I began to sob like a baby. And all the shit that I'd suppressed since I was 3-4 years of age, living right next door to a police station for the first 6 years of my life in racist South Africa, 1966 to 1972, those first 6 years, right next door to that police station. They terrified me. And all that stuff I'd buried in my life since then, in my nervous system, began to lift off me. It was a very powerful experience. And eventually I got up, went to the back of the room. And long story short, I signed up for every program Tony taught. I set myself a goal to become one of his trainers. I've been with Tony 21 years now. And now what I do, I still support Tony's mission. I love doing it 3-4 times a year. I'm always supporting him in his workshops, but then I'm also running my own workshops. And now what I'm doing now is sharing my own story, changing lives. And it's just such a blessing. I look back at Angola and I say, thank you, God, for that experience. Now I can see the benefit of that experience. Now I can work with soldiers, policemen, women who have been raped, children on crack. You name it, I've worked with them over the last 20 years. And I've helped people to heal themselves. I don't do the healing. I'm not egotistical like that. I'm humble enough to know that it's not me. I'm just the catalyst, just like Tony was the catalyst for me. And all I'm doing is I'm just telling my story and I'm just listening to these people, helping them to see something different. And people say, well, what do you do now, Allan? And I'm a speaker, a coach, a mentor, a facilitator, a trainer. I've got a coaching business, a speaking business, and I mentor young kids. I've spoken at colleges and schools all around the world. I've spoken all around the world. There's still lots of places I haven't been yet. However, in 20 years, I've really been able to impact tens of thousands of people with my own story. And people say, what do you actually do? I say, I lead people home. I lead people back to themselves. That's what I do.
Allan, that's so beautiful. Like, I know some people might find this like, oh my goodness, every kind of so much information, but I love that about you. You're so passionate. And also you got to recognize how far you've come, like going through what you've gone through. There are a lot of people, you know, they don't make it, you know, that you recognize that.
Absolutely.
And
a lot of my friends didn't make it, Sandra. A lot of my friends committed suicide before, when I was a teenager and after the army.
Yeah. So this is the hardest time. And then especially now, like a lot of people more aware of mental
health awareness. Yeah. It's mental health week now, isn't it? This is mental health week.
Yes, it is this week. It's actually, even today I look at some posts and I can see how many people suffering at the moment in their own head. And the fact is, I really admire for the fact you've gone through so much. And I know you clearly made peace with your past, and that's beautiful, but is like, so you understand, for us normal people who hasn't gone through what you've gone through, it's very powerful. It's very strong-minded and still have so much love, so much passion to help other people. Because I guess knowing, like, Tony Robbins has helped you, your friend has helped you, who, you know, who gave you the book. What was his name?
Malcolm.
So Malcolm giving you that guidance, and then starting off.
Malcolm Fisher. He was a beautiful man, Malcolm Fisher. And now thinking about him, let me just add something. Isn't it amazing?
Yes,
this is the first. And listen, let me acknowledge you for that. Thank you so much. You are the first person, and I'm not kidding now. This is I've just noticed that right now. I'm just aware of it as you asked me. You are the first person in any interview that I've given, and I've given hundreds of interviews. During COVID-19, I've been giving interviews every week at least, sometimes 3 times a week. From the moment we got locked down, nobody's ever asked me what his name was. So
I wanted to know his name.
So thank you. And having said his name, Malcolm has appeared to me many times with me on stage in different environments. And the reason I say that is because Malcolm was killed several years after that in a car accident. Malcolm was killed I think he was killed around the age of 26 or 27. We were all heartbroken. You know, he was such a beautiful young man. At 21 years of age, when he introduced me to Think and Grow Rich, at 21 years of age, he was the most emotionally mature person I'd ever met. And to this day, remains one of the most emotionally mature people that's ever crossed my path. And I call him my earth angel. He's one of my angels now on the other side. He was an earth angel for me. You know, we spoke about angels and certain people.
Yes. Some people don't know what I meant, but yeah, but when a person
he was my earth angel, one of them definitely. And now he's also my angel on the other side. So when you ask me his name, thank you. That's beautiful. I haven't spoken his name out loud for a long time. And I miss him still. And so thank you for that.
No, it's okay. I mean, because I understand this, because I happen in my life, when we talk about angels, I had a, you know, shift in my life when I was 16 years old, and I never used to read books, and I was rebellious to my parents and angry and all those things. And somebody gave me the book.
Yeah.
And I was, you know, because I wanted what that person had, the confidence, the peace of mind, and just being kind and spiritual. Yes. And I did not know what it was, because I was searching for it. So I would never forget the person's name. And the same thing for you, because that was the first turning point in your life. And there's a massive significance. And then over the time, we meet different people. I call them angels, who guided you. So the other person was Anthony Robbins.
Yeah.
So, you know.
So the three men. So that's a good point. Thanks for that, because I spoke about this earlier, actually. I mean, you know, you were on the meditation this morning. You know how passionate I was this morning, how excited I was this morning after coming across that book yesterday, when I spent time with my mentor yesterday. But I was just thinking about the three men that have impacted me in their own unique way. And my dad, obviously. And my dad taught me how to be a man. And I didn't even know he was teaching me how to be a man at the time. I used to look at my dad. I used to look at my dad and say, just leave me alone, right? Stop, you know, stop curbing my fun. Stop curbing my enthusiasm. Because my dad was very strict. But it took me a long time to realize he was always doing the best he could for me, because he wanted me to have a good life. So he really impacted me, showed me how to be a man. And I only realized that much later. So I'm grateful for that. Tony Robbins, without doubt, you know, my big brother. I call him my big brother. Tony's only 7 years older than me. And that moment when we met in 1999, and he just and I stood there in front of this guy, and I thought, who's this stranger, this big American, this fucking smart, sorry for swearing. So this incredibly smart American, this incredibly smart human being. I mean, I've never heard anybody explain psychology. Now, just give people who are watching this an idea, or people who are listening to this recording. I've studied psychology for 32 years, every type of psychology, every type of philosophy, every type of religion, every type of spirituality, just neurology, physiology, nutrition, you name it. Because I was always because I was always like, how can I make myself better? How can I fit in? How can I make sure people love me? You know, because I thought I was broken. I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought, well, maybe if I learn this, I'll be better. Maybe if I learn that, then I'll be better. If I learn that, then maybe they'll love me. Maybe if I learn that, maybe they'll accept me. And I didn't realize that in the journey, which is all perfect, it's a perfect that works out, right? But looking back, I see the journey I've taken, the knowledge I've acquired. And I look at Tony, and Tony's my big brother because he loved me unconditionally. He didn't even know me. I was a stranger to him, but he came down off that stage. First of all, he came to the UK to share his knowledge. I thought, this is a man who's now traveled from America, his hometown, to come here to Cardiff, Wales, to stand on a stage and teach us about psychology, just in a way that no one had ever taught me before that. And to this day, Tony's my favorite teacher. And I've had plenty of teachers in 32 years, including Wayne Dyer, Maya Angelou, Oprah, you name it, Deepak Chopra, you know, Bob Proctor, Zig Ziglar, Les Brown, Dennis Waitley, and all these people. Jim Rohn, I met Jim Rohn personally. I hung out with him for 3 hours. You know, I'll tell you that story if we get time. I'll tell you that story if we get time.
Talk about this next time. I'm so him.
So this learning this psychology. So Tony Robbins, right, blessing me with his unconditional love. I was a stranger. He just loved me, and to make it even more powerful for me, I was afraid to talk about that stuff. I stood up and I said, "Man, I love you so much. You've been saving me for like 9 years. I've been listening to your cassette tape." And he asked me a question, and I spoke to him, and I said, "Man, I've been carrying something with me for 11 years, 12 years. I went to Angola and I killed all these people, like hundreds of people with my weapons." And I said, "I've been tormented by it. And I recognize I just put it down in this weekend, and I've taken a significant step forward. And I know there's a lot of work ahead of me still, but you've really helped me this weekend to really put that shit down. I recognize it's really sucking the life out of me." And that's when he came off the stage, you know, that's when I ended up in his arms. You know, and he loved me unconditionally. I was 32 years of age. I never felt that. And this was a man I just told that I killed hundreds of people. And I've had lots of times when I've mentioned that since. Yeah. And the only one time before that, when I didn't even talk about that, I just said I was a military soldier in South Africa. That's all I said. And I've got such negative feedback from people saying, "Oh, you're a white supremacist in South Africa. I've heard about you." And after that time when I spoke to Tony openly, I said, "I killed these people." And I just realized I've just taken a significant turn the corner here now. And I'm thanking you, man, because you have taken time to come from America right here to help me change my life. And that's that whole movement and then that experience and that feeling, that unconditional love. But I've had, since then, speaking about it took me a long time to learn how to speak about it. It took me a long time to heal. I mean, I've been healing for 32 years since I was 21, but even before that, right? And I've had people give me really negative feedback about the fact that I did that and judge me for that. Yeah, but I understand everyone's on their own path. But I look back at Angola and say, thank you for that gift, because now I can work with people who are wounded, soldiers, policemen, you know, and I can help them. Yeah, and I've done it so many times now. So I'm grateful for my journey, and I'm grateful for my story, my life, my messes, my mistakes, my tests.
Painful experiences that builds the character, doesn't it? And
absolutely.
Yeah, and also.
Can I just get some water, please? 1 second.
Yes, please. Go ahead. Great.
Thank you. Just needed some water.
No, not to worry. And the other thing as well, for example, so this is so much has happened to you. You can clearly see that. But
I've only given you I've given you a tiny snippet. There's so many other things, but I'm not gonna. We don't have time to.
It would be great if you to read once your biography. You know.
The book's coming. The book's coming. It's coming. It's definitely going to be out next year. Definitely.
Fantastic. So, so can you understand how much impact? And of course, Malcolm, your friend, gave you an impact, but I guess another turning point was with Anthony Robbins, right?
Yeah.
So can you understand? So I know you will understand this because we spoke about this, but now you do this to other people because you know how much impacted that made to you. And then, so even we met, when did we meet?
We met in October. Sorry. Yeah, we met in October 2018. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. No, 2019, last year, October 2019.
Yeah, last year I was thinking
sorry, you're right. October, time flies so fast. October 2019, it was the 22nd of October, 22nd, 23rd, that weekend in Birmingham at the NAC, the National Achievers Congress, where Russell Brand was speaking and you went to speak to Russell Brand. I was sitting right in the front and I remember you walked past me and we said hello to each other because you were the first person to get to ask Russell Brand a question after his talk. And I was the speaker who came before Russell. So I was sitting in the front and you walked past and we looked at each other, said hello, and then that's how we met.
Yes. So yeah, this course, I mean, I said to my friend, I have to go there because my background is, you know, I've traveled around the world, been to South Africa twice, actually, presenting some of fitness and was in fitness industry. But there was a part of my life that I wasn't happy. So even though I was very spiritual back in my 20s, I had a gap when nothing was happening, was, you know, attracting wrong people, not wrong people. We learn from.
Well, you were on your journey. You were,
I'm so grateful. But however, you know, deep down, your soul says, like, you know what, I need to do this. I need to do this. And so I went to the training, and this is when I saw you speaking on stage, and I went there for myself. But to what you said, it really resonated with my brother.
Yes.
And I thought, I need to speak to this guy. And I tried to search for you. I don't know why, but couldn't really, I didn't catch your name because I was like, came in maybe 2 minutes late or something.
Yeah.
And I was like looking around, like people asking like, what's his name? What's his name?
A lot of people didn't catch my surname there actually, because for some reason they didn't put my name on the screen. But yeah, so and I remember you telling me you were looking for me and you couldn't find me.
So this is quite also powerful. If it's something you want to do, nobody's going to stop you. You know, and influence happens when you desire something so much, when you make the decision. So something nobody can do for you. But it's always that inner voice to go and do what you've been called to do. That makes sense?
Yes, of course.
Anyway, me being good at social media, searching for things that I need, I got hold of you.
You're good at finding things you need online.
Yes, or just good at finding things, but you know, because then you can do discreetly without people. Anyway, I'm just joking. There's always a bit of truth to the joke. However, I found you, I followed you. So basically, the whole story cut short. Now we are here. We're having this conversation, and I've been working with you. Well, I don't want to call it working. I just don't even know.
Yeah, you've been working with me.
Yeah, I've been working with you, which we didn't plan on happen, just happened very naturally. And
no, actually, let's rephrase, if you don't mind me helping you out here.
No, please do.
I'm kind of taking over the interview. I'm the interviewer, right? You said to me, listen, I'm looking for a coach. I really want to take my game forward, and I want to help my brother, and I want to help my family. And we spoke about that. And at that time, you weren't ready. You didn't have the time, the timing, the money. You weren't ready. But now you are ready. You got the time, you got the money. We're making it happen. We're rocking. And you've grown a lot in the last it's only been a month that we started working together. And you've changed already a lot. And you know it. I know it. You can see it. I mean, because I've been following you on Instagram, I can see it in your body language. I can see how you're showing up, the freedom in your face, the muscles, everything's shifting. And you had a Waken weekend, and I think and you had 2 weekends in a row, didn't you?
Yes, right. This is what I wanted to say. What an impact. So the whole story thing, I know it's an interview, but all I want to say is to say thank you for the fact in such a short period of time, you brought me back home. Like, it's exactly what you said at the beginning, and it's so powerful. And that
thank you.
Nobody,
it's awesome.
Like, there's no value in terms of like money, whatever. It's what it means to me, because you know exactly what Tonya Robbins did to you.
Well, you can't. Yeah, and again, I apologize for interrupting, but it's a great conversation. You can't put money on coming home.
No.
Coming home to your own heart. I mean, and anyone who's watching this now, seriously, if you see the intensity in my eyes, you cannot put a price on coming home to your own heart, because when you heal the child, the adult appears. And there's so many adults walking around who are just big kids in adult bodies, and they are just stumbling through life kind of robotically, numb, and not even present, because there's a wounded child inside every adult, or not every adult, the vast majority of adults. So when you come home to yourself and you heal your heart, you heal the child. So for instance, for you heal the girl, the woman appears. You heal the boy, the man appears. And so that's how it works, right? For all beings. So it's beautiful that you said that. Thank you. I honor that. I'm so glad that you've expressed that way, because that's my mission, is to help people to come home to their heart, come home to themselves, and really step into their true power, their true north, their true purpose, and just live fully self-expressed, like really live at the edge. Because as, you know, I think who was it? Pasteur. You know, Pasteur said, most men are living lives of quiet desperation, and ain't that the truth?
So I'm really excited about your future, because what you said today, I can see what's coming, and I'm really, really excited. So
Well, let's share that with people. People are probably wondering what the hell I'm talking about.
Yes, and also wanted to make sure we cover the awaken as well, because
well, very
that's
quickly,
what.
let's just tell people why you are excited about my future. People are probably wondering what the hell's going on. So I'm excited about your future because you unfurling your wings, right? You starting to fly.
I'm interviewing, remember?
And that's true. I apologize for taking over, right? However,
no, I'm only joking, but
I know you're excited for me. Why? Because Sandra was on my live this morning. I go live every morning at 11 a.m. on Instagram Live, my Instagram Live, and my Facebook group, my private Facebook group, The Awakened Soul, live every day, 11 a.m. for the last 9 weeks of lockdown. Come and join us there. And what Sandra's talking about is that this morning I dropped some great, exciting news about a new project that I'm going to be putting together with my mentor, as I said earlier in this call, I spent quality time with him yesterday for the first time in months because of the lockdown, and we haven't seen each other. We haven't been able to even before lockdown, he's flying, I'm flying. Anyway, I went around there yesterday. I stayed there. We had dinner there, and we just spoke into the hours of the morning. We talked to each other about what's happening in his business, how have we pivoted our business. He told me how he pivoted his business online. This is a man with 4 massive organizations in 4 different countries: Manila, Australia, South Africa, England. And he's taken all of that stuff and put it online. And we're speaking. And then 5 years ago, we spoke about this idea that we wanted to have about bringing men together and helping men to heal the boy. When you heal the boy, the man appears, a man who are destined to become. And when we heal men, we will heal women. When we heal men, we will heal the world. And so we had this idea, and that's what I was talking about this morning, about this project. Now we're going to breathe life into it. Now it's the right time now, inspired by the conversation we had last night and the fact that he showed me this book that he just started reading, which I spoke about this morning on my live, which Sandra was listening to, called Manhood by Steve Biddulph. And if you're a man, get the book. If you're a son, get the book. If you are a male, get the book. If you're a female, get the book, right? It's important. It's important for everyone. And if you're a father, then read Steve Biddulph's other book. I should talk to Steve and get a little, I should ask him for a commission because I'm promoting him big time here. But, he wrote a book called Raising Boys. Beautiful book for fathers, raising boys, even mothers, raising boys. And now this one called Manhood. And that's the book that inspired the conversation we had last night. And I dropped that this morning in the lab saying, hey, can't wait to launch this event, this retreat for men, where men can come into a group of other men, open-hearted, caring, strong men, ready to step into their masculinity, but step into it strong, but also with sensitivity, compassion, kindness, love. Because men, strong men who own themselves, but also have that sensitivity and tap into that feminine, because we've got feminine and masculine energy, all of us. But men who are strong can tap into the femininity of compassion, kindness, caring, humility. Those are the men who are going to heal the world. So that's what we're going to do. And that's why I'm excited. And that's why you're excited for me.
I am very excited. I can sense that. That's
so anyway, you take over now. Back to you.
Well, back to me. I'm speechless at the moment. I mean, your story is so powerful. And during this course, the Awaken, especially, the first, you see how I see everything is like dots in life, right? So you kind of collect the dots of your own individual journey. So it could be anything, doesn't have to be always spiritual. So some people think we're not talking about fitness, but it's to do with
life.
It's life, exactly. And the other thing is, if you keep your habits straight, your mind straight, you will succeed in every aspect of your life, whether it's business, whether it's fitness, whether anything that is that important to you. Now, talking about the course, so I'm so grateful that I did the 2 weeks ago, the kind of initial,
the
and
communication
then the following.
One.
Sorry?
The communication. We did communication first.
Yeah, the power of communication, what really has helped me. And then last weekend,
the art of communication. And then awaken a week later.
Honestly, it was just perfect. It was perfect because the information was digesting that week, and then you answered the questions that were inside my head, in my soul, whatever was holding me back, the blockage that I have, and all those doubts and everything. I had so much clarity, and having clarity, it's important, because then
the most important thing. Most important. If you got no clarity, you can't do anything. Clarity comes first.
This course really helped. And what I love about people, love you so much. They love you so much because
it's only because I love people so much. I love people.
Yeah, you allow them to be yourself. You allow, you know, you, like you said, this is such a perfect, you said this morning as well, to bring them home to their own true potential,
Expression.
own self, because we are so being redirected all the time, whether it's social media, whether it's actual media, whether it's magazines. You got to be this way, you got to look this way, and people are unhappy and they think, what is going on with me? No wonder people take drugs. No wonder people do some silly things and then they feel sad, but then the front they wear this mask, like you always say. You know, so those courses that you've done, I highly recommend to everybody to do that. Even if you think, oh, I'm not sure, because
let's help people very quickly understand what's available. So why don't you tell them what's the biggest thing you got out of it in terms of your mother, you and your mother, and how that shifted in such a short space of time.
Yeah. So
and how it's continuing to shift, right?
Yes. So yes, I finally healing my relationship with my mom.
I love it.
I love my mom dearly so much, but I show a lot of people sometimes we have not the best relationship with parents.
That's the majority of people watching this call.
Yes.
I mean, in fact, it's nearly everybody.
Yes.
And even people, I've always asked people, tell me about your relationship with your parents. They say, I've got a great relationship with my parents. Okay, cool. Let's put you in the same room and see how long you can last before you want to leave.
Exactly. So I especially last year, I was just like, oh my God, I just need to go, because if we're talking about triggers, anything they say triggers you, and you think, oh my God. But since working with you and doing special healing, you know, at a distance, I've been speaking to my mom every day, almost over an hour, with no arguments. And then all I think is the compassion, the love. I just love her.
That's a significant shift from what you told me about her before when we first started working, and how I used to ask you about that relationship, and I could feel the energy in you rising, and that, like, you know, that this is a trigger. It's in your nervous system.
Yeah.
That is a significant shift, because now, as I said to you, right, you healing the girl, becoming the woman you're destined to be, and at the same time, in the process, healing your mother, healing the little girl in your mother's heart, and helping your mother to become the woman she was destined to be. And then your daughter-mother relationship goes to the next level, because now your mother is your mother and you are her daughter, and you are both women stepping into your own power, and that is amazing.
Yes, thank you. Honestly, it is wonderful, and of course, it's going to continue. And I'm sure
that's what I live for. I live for that.
Yeah,
and that relationship. And you know, sorry if you could jump in again.
No,
I'm just going with my intuition. Yeah. I also say to people, well, what do you do in your workshop? I say, I do all kinds of things. I say, what am I going to get? I say, I don't know. But I know something for real, and you can put money on it. And I tell them all the same thing. I said, you can put money on the fact you're going to get something that surprises you. You're going to get something that you can't imagine right now. And when you get it, it's going to blow your mind. It's going to change your whole life. And that's a guarantee. Otherwise, I give you money back. I tell people that all the time. They say, but what? I say, I don't know. But when it happens, you're going to say to yourself, oh my God, I didn't expect to get this. And people say, what do you do in the workshop? We heal relationships. We heal your relationship with yourself. You heal your relationship with yourself by also healing the relationship with your parents. You heal the relationship with your parents by also healing the relationship with yourself, because you have to. You cannot be successful on this planet, like really fulfilled. Not successful where you have everything your ego wants. I'm talking about real success, like fulfillment, you know, like enjoying the moment, being blessed, being driven, ambitious, but at the same time, really taking grace right now in the moment and saying, thank you. You know what I mean? Just like really fulfilled. You cannot do that unless you heal the relationship with yourself. And you can only do that if you heal the relationship with your parents, mom and dad, whether they are alive or dead, whether you never met them before or not. You've got to do that. You have to, because until you do, you're always going to be that wounded child that's trying to be an adult.
Oh my goodness. You just put the, what's the saying? The nail
in the coffin.
Sorry.
Just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, the nail on the head. It's so true, because I can relate to so much, because I grew up without dad, and I know what wounds causes to like any child, literally any child. And that was the blockage. And you know, I forgot one thing to tell you. When my dad still was alive, right?
Yeah.
This is when I was really going for all my goals, the competitions, everything. I was like, as if like I had to prove to be loved.
Yeah.
And then when he passed away, this is when motivation gone. I thought like, even though I didn't see him for 13 years before he died, but it just was that, oh, it's like I didn't have the motive, because there was my inner child was driving and thinking, please, like, can I be this good enough? If I do that, can I be good enough? And the thing is, at that time, clearly I knew it was biggest wound. And normally I would cry about it talking now, but I feel like I've healed it. And I'm still
you healed a lot of that for sure.
Yeah, and the things with my mom, because I was a bit angry and whatever is happening. But as soon as you forgive, let go, and being compassionate and everything else, you then so aligned with yourself where you're going, and then of course being less careless as well.
Well,
Like since I've been working with you,
less judgmental, less careless,
yeah,
more conscious,
yeah,
you're more like you, what people are then, you're more inclined. We're all the same. As long as when we start healing that little boy or that little girl, we start healing the relationship with our parents, we now become more conscious. We're starting to feel who we really are. It's a long process, and people don't want to do it because it's messy, and healing is messy. That's why they don't want to do it. But
very messy.
you cannot go through life without healing your shit. Because if you don't heal your shit's going to deal with you. If you don't deal with your shit deals with you. At some point, it's going to happen.
It will come back.
It shows up in different ways. But it will happen. So by doing that, like you say, now you are more conscious, you're less inclined to make mistakes. You're less inclined to be careless. You're more inclined to think before you act. You're more inclined to think about, what does this mean if I do that? And how's this going to mean for me? And then you're starting to listen to your intuition, listen to your soul. And over the long period of time, when you start listening to your soul or your heart and not listening to your critic in your head, the critic shuts down because now it's got no more power over you. And now you can really follow your own true north. And that's when you live your own true purpose. That's when people come alive. And they come alive for the first time in their life. Because people have been alive for a long time, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, but they haven't even lived. They haven't even lived yet. They're just tiptoeing quietly to death.
So I know I'm not laughing. Of course, it's not funny.
No, I know, because you're laughing because you see that you understand the impact of that sentence.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I really want to, like, yourself help. Like, of course, I've got so much growth to do, but like, I want to help you so you can help other people. And I just feel like everyone I look at now, I think, how can I help you? Because this is like looking at everyone with compassion. It's not
a good question.
It's
a good question to ask yourself all the time.
Yeah, it's not being pity. It's nothing to be pity for, but it's like,
no,
why
it's empathy.
Empathy, yeah. And sometimes why they're behaving this way, because they think, how can I help? How can I help? And there are a lot of people who will not show the true emotions.
No.
They might be like,
or they've been taught not to feel. We've all been taught not to feel. We've all been taught not to feel since we were young. And we were told when we were young, don't cry.
Yeah,
don't cry.
external.
We tell kids to get over things quickly. Oh, it's going to be okay. You're okay. It's okay. You're okay. So we taught not to feel. That's why men don't feel. Listen, this is important. I can't show it to you because it's on my phone, but I posted something on Instagram this morning and on Facebook stories. And I wrote a quote by Steve Biddulph, the guy who wrote Manhood. I took it from the book. It was so powerful. It impacted me so deeply. I thought, I've got to share this. And there's a few lines from that book in the first 2 pages. It says, if the world would self-destruct right now, if the world self-destructed right now, then there's very few things we could blame it on apart from the fact that we've got not enough open-hearted men who care and have the courage to step into their sensitivity. Because the world is full of wounded men who are boys in adult bodies, right? So that's how important it is.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited about your new journey, your current journey, the message that you're actually giving to the world, which is love, right?
Yes. Love. It's all
You're
about
very
love.
driven by that.
About love. My religion is love. I went to 2 Catholic schools. I went to Sunday school from the age of 4. I was terrified by the religious dogma that they were shoveling in my head. By the time I came out of the military, going to 2 Catholic schools, standing in a chapel every morning for assembly, choir, sitting in the chapel every Sunday morning and all that kind of crap. And then coming out of the military and having killed all those people. And that's when I decided to study religion for 6.5 years, because I wanted to find out what is religion, what is God, and what is this thing about thou shalt not heal? Does that mean I'm doomed? Does that mean like I'm never going to be forgiven by God? And I refused to believe that. Even from the age of 4, when I lived right next door to that police station, and I used to see what was happening, it made me unsafe. When I saw what was happening in South Africa as I was growing up, and I saw the racism and the divide, the division, the segregation, the pain, the suffering, I thought, this is not right. This is not right. And inside of me, something was always about, how can I come back to love? So people say, well, why have you had that kind of journey? Or why am I on this journey? Always ask yourself the question, why has my soul chosen this journey? Because it's chosen for a reason. And when I look at my soul and I look at my life, I say, my soul chose that reason so I could learn how to heal myself. Having gone through the worst kind of pain and suffering and trauma, how could I heal myself if I hadn't had the worst darkness, How can I heal other people? How can I help people to heal themselves and bring them back home to themselves if I haven't walked that path already?
So amazing. So you got so much life into you and energy. You're constantly like full of energy. It doesn't matter. It could be 3 o'clock in the morning. It could be in the afternoon and everything.
Actually, I'm actually battling to sleep recently because I've been so fired up. Because, listen, COVID-19 has been the best thing that ever happened to me. My business has just expanded and blown up over the last 9 weeks. And I've been reaching people online where I never would have reached if I was on the road, if there was no COVID-19 and I was traveling. I've spoken to about 35,000 people over the last 6 weeks on, maybe even more, 40,000 people since lockdown started, interviews, podcasts, just Zoom calls, webinars, online summits, workshops online. And from 75 countries, 85 countries. I had 10 countries in the workshop last weekend where you were there, that. We had, Florida, Puerto Rico, Gibraltar, Dubai, Canada, Australia, America, South Africa, England, Europe. It was awesome.
So amazing. There's 2 things I would like to ask you. Your vision and your message, especially now, not only now, but like in general. And of course, we are both blessed for COVID-19 because always good something happens out of any situation.
Absolutely.
And almost this had to happen. So I would like, to ask your vision for everything. My vision is a world full of healed people, all loving each other, being kind to each other, being compassionate, collaborating, working with each other, reaching out to each other, being empathetic, just being smiling at each other, talking to each other as if they knew each other already, talking to each other as if they knew each other already, not walking past each other and ignoring each other. That's my vision. A world healed, people loving themselves. And I know that's probably not possible on earth because of the nature of the spiritual consciousness of earth, etc. And the whole evolution that I talk about in my program. However, that's something we need to aim for. And that's something that we all need to recognize that individually, we have the power to make that happen. It's not up to anyone else. It's up to me. It's up to you. 100% responsibility for your own life. When you heal yourself, you heal other people. We're all trying to heal each other, but we haven't healed ourselves. So let's heal ourselves, and then we can heal the world. So that means just loving yourself more, being more compassionate, being more kind. My father told me when I was very young, he said, Allan, 3 rules in life. If you follow these 3 rules, you have anything you want in life. As long as you follow these 3 rules to the letter. I said, okay, Dad. He said, rule number 1, be kind. I thought to myself, that sounds simple. He said, yeah, rule number 1, be kind. I said, what's number 2? He said, be kind. I was confused. I said, Dad, it's the same thing twice. He said, listen, shut up and listen. I know what I'm talking about. You are still a young boy. Listen. Rule 1, be kind. Rule 2, be kind. Rule 3, be kind. Now I was really confused. I said, Dad, the same thing 3 times. He said, yes, maybe one day you're going to get it. Right? That's so true.
It is. So that's my vision, right? What did you ask me was the other one?
Your message.
Oh, my message, yeah. You're asking what it is?
Yes, and also the message to those who are having a difficult time.
Okay, cool. I'll give you that, yeah. So my message, my general message, and so my purpose is to show up as an outstanding example of love in action and a soul on fire. That's my purpose. And I, Allan, see, hear, feel, and know that the purpose of my life is to be an outstanding example of love in action and a soul on fire. And in the process of that, remind people of who they really are, ignite their souls and bring them home to themselves so we can heal the world. And so my message is love heals. And my message is unconditional love heals unconditionally. So listen carefully now, because it's very powerful. Anyone who's watching this, anyone who's watching the recording of this, doesn't matter how old it gets, it's always going to be the truth. No matter where you go, no matter how much time passes, love heals, and unconditional love heals unconditionally. And one day when that lands for you, your whole world will change. So, and a message for all the people who are watching, you said, right? Well, people are going through a tough time, and people are going through a tough time right now.
Yes,
I know fully, every morning I'll wake up, and you know yourself, because I've told you to do the same thing every day for yourself with the practices and processes I give you. And I give all my clients the same thing. When you wake up in the morning, first thing you want to do, if you're watching this, make this a daily discipline. If you do not do this, after you've heard me do this, then there's no excuses. Then you are choosing your suffering. So, and that sounds harsh for some people, but that's a fact. People choose their suffering. Why? Because they get all kinds of secondary gain. They get to be right. They get to complain. They get to judge. I'm telling you now, if you're watching this, as soon as you wake up in the morning, if you start your day just by doing this, and you open your eyes, you say, wow, I woke up. Thank you. I woke up. Thank you so much. Thank your heart. Thank life. Thank whatever it is you thank. Universe, God, universal mind, higher power, source, energy, whatever it is. But just as you open your eyes, say, wow, I'm awake. It's a new day. I'm awake. I didn't die last night. Thank you so much. Because many people do not wake up in the mornings. They just die in their sleep because they're on their way out. You did. So as soon as you say thank you, now immediately you're feeling good. Smile when you do it. Drink a glass of water, right? Start your day like that. And then if you are dealing with challenges, and some people are, I realize that not everybody has my kind of life. I know that. So I do that every morning. Thank you. It's a new day. Why? Because I'm grateful for my life. And I realize that other people don't have my life. And I need to stay grateful and humble, not become cocky and egotistical like I have done in the past. And that caused me to climb to the top of a mountain and slide all the way down the other side. And it turned into a great blessing. However, after you've just said thank you for another day, life, universe, God, higher power, whatever you call it, or even just thank yourself, or just thank your heart. Because the reason you wake up this morning is because your heart continues beating. And sometimes hearts stop beating and people don't wake up. So as you wake up, thank you, heart. Thank you, life. Thank you, Allan. Thank you, yourself. And then recognize, because now immediately if you're facing challenges, your mind's going to bring your challenges back to mind immediately. Your mind's going to say, don't be so happy because you've got problems. How are you going to sort them out today? That's when you got to remember. You can say, oh yeah, okay, cool. You know what? Everything is always on the way. Nothing is ever in the way. How can I step onto my problem today? Step onto my challenge. Step onto this insurmountable obstacle. Step onto the obstacle so I can look over the other side of it and see what's on the other side. Because everything's on the way. Nothing's in the way. Nothing. And every cloud has a silver lining, just like you said. And Michael Jordan, I love Michael Jordan. I'm currently watching his documentary on Netflix. It's brilliant. Last Dance. If you haven't seen it, The Last Dance, you've got to watch it. And his father said to him when he was young, he said, listen, no matter how dark it gets, listen, my friends, now, because I know some of you are in darkness right now. Some of you are scared. Some of you are abandoned. Maybe you're on your own. You're in lockdown on your own. Some of you have lost family members. My heart goes out to you. Honestly, I feel for you and I send you love right now from my heart to your heart. May your family rest in peace. If you've lost family members, if anybody you know is ill, sending my love to you, and I feel for you. And every cloud has a silver lining. You have to find the silver lining as quickly as possible. And Michael Jordan's father taught him that when he was young. He said, listen, no matter how dark it gets, find the silver lining quickly. Because you don't want to stay there in the darkness too long. If you stay in the darkness too long, it's sucking life out of you. You want to find the silver lining quickly, take the lesson, and move forward. Now, that doesn't mean you don't grieve. It doesn't mean you don't feel, because you must feel, because every emotion is valid. But don't stay there in the darkness and complain about it, because now you are choosing to suffer and now you're choosing to be a victim. So that's my message for everyone.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for having me on the show.
Sorry?
Thank you for having me on the show.
No, thank you for having you, honestly. I actually would like to send this to one person, particularly what we've spoken about.
Send this to your brother.
I know this is the exact person.
What's his name? What's his name, Sandra?
His full name is Raimondas.
Raimondas.
In English, we call it
Ray. Ray, listen, Ray. If you've come to this point in this training right now, this presentation, listen to me, this training, this interview with your sister, if you're watching up until this point now, right? Hello, my friend. I'm looking forward to meeting you. I know your sister cares about you deeply. I know she loves you deeply. I know you love her deeply. We've all had challenges. Our job is to work out why we chose those challenges so we can become who we're destined to be. So, my friend, reaching out to you, looking forward to meeting you at some point. Everything's always on the way. I'll see you further down the road.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Before we go, could you tell us how can we find you?
You can find me on social media, Facebook and Instagram. Or Facebook's my chosen platform. I like Facebook because of the fact that I've got so many people following me there. Instagram, I haven't got many followers on Instagram, but I love Instagram. But I'm also applying new things in my life. I'm on YouTube. I've got a channel, but I'm restarting my YouTube channel on Friday. Very excited about that. I've been off YouTube for ages. Twitter, LinkedIn, anywhere you want me. Just find me on Google.
Is it under your name?
Yeah, my name, Allan Kleynhans. You just Google my name, Allan Kleynhans. My website's allanspeaks.com. It needs to be updated. The old dates are in there. But what I'm saying is just find me on social media. Come and follow me on Facebook. I can't add any more friends. So make sure you follow me. And I've got a page on Facebook, business page, facebook.com/Allan Speaks, ALLAN Speaks. But what I want to do, it's not but actually, and what I'd like to do, if that's all right, Sandra, is invite people to come to my Awakened Soul page on Facebook, my private group, the Awakened Soul. Come and meditate with us here. You know what it's like. It's beautiful, right? Such a beautiful tribe of people. Beautiful tribe of people. We meditate every day together at 11 a.m. I stream it live on Instagram and I stream it live on Facebook in my private group, 11 a.m. every day. We've been doing it for 9 weeks now, every single day during lockdown. So join us there. You'll love it.
Thank you very much, Allan. I'm so grateful to have you here. Honestly, I'm genuinely so grateful. It was an amazing interview. Thank you for sharing, pouring your heart out, and truly stepping in that love. I want to say love zone, you know, the sharing. So really, really appreciate that.
No, you're welcome. Thank you. I really appreciate the interview. I appreciate the opportunity to speak because, you know, I've got an important message. I know that it's not because I'm important. It's because the message of love is important. The message of healing is important. The message of forgiveness is important. The message of coming home to your true north is the most important thing. That's how we're going to heal the world. With more people come home to their true selves, because they're not going to be judging other people. And so thank you for that opportunity to share my message with your audience. And I would love it if you send me the link for this. I would love to have the recording. I've got some people I can share it to and send it out to that I know would need it. I know your brother is probably, he needs it too, so send it to him.
Thank you for a personal message, definitely.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I know how important it is to you. I know how that hurts you. I know how it hurts your family. I know that you've told me that. And Ray, listen, if you're watching this, you know, it's only because she loves you. It's only because your family love you, man. And you know, I've been there, buddy. And I've turned my parents into nervous wrecks. You know, gave them gray hair because I was lost for many years. And I've only been able to find myself because of other people that I've been able to stand on the shoulders of giants. So as I said, I'm looking forward to meeting you, Ray.
Thank you so much, Allan.
You're welcome.